Well, that was a little more exciting than you really want a live stream start to be. Apologies for anyone who was on the original scheduled stream, especially if you heard any curse words.
You might have.
You might have. We ran into some technical difficulties. And anyway, here we are. Welcome back to Virtual Studio Party with me, Kim Lee Ko, and with my faithful co-pilot, Cal Honey. Say hi, Cal.
Hi, Cal. Just giving you a little taste of your own medicine.
Oh my God.
Welcome aboard, everyone. So sorry for the glitch getting going.
It was a risk setting up a scheduled stream because when it's preset like that, then if anything goes awry at all, there's no changing anything settings.
Yeah, we were all nice and calm, and we said, but wait, there's no camera, there's no picture.
It wasn't showing any camera feed. Yeah, that was the technical problem. And there was no reason for that. It had been set up with the proper camera setting. You know,
you just got to roll with it.
Tech issues are like that sometimes. So anyway, welcome back.
Yeah.
It's good to be here. Back on another virtual studio party, and this time I did try to publicize it, even though it was only this morning. So hopefully a few people heard about it before. And thank you so much for your perseverance if you had to hunt us down. Oh, thank you, Susan.
I agree. So she is looking particularly sharp today.
Right. Well, I've accessorized, that's part of it. And I ironed my hair, which cuts down on all the frizzy flyaways. So, it looks sort of impressively straight and sleek, right? So,
you know what I think is the biggest factor, though?
What's that?
Singing.
Yes, I did my singing practice this morning. That's what Cal's alluding to. And yesterday I had a little Zoom performance for a small audience. That was quite nerve-wracking, though also quite exciting. In fact, it was too exciting. I have no tolerance for excitement since COVID, since months and months and months of COVID, right? So I was exhausted once the adrenaline had subsided. Anyway, how are you doing, Susan? Please let us know. And
I've asked her in the chat
great.
whether what she's going to be working on.
Are you going to be working on anything today? And hopefully other people will find us. Not everyone has the tech, understands what to do when a live stream ends, that they can find the new one. But anyway, we'll just do the best we can today, right? I'm going to be working into my altered book again in mixed media. And I had a request from Garuda to do image transfers. And so image transfers is going to be part of this, what I'm going to do today into this book. And I've made it, they're film-based image transfers. So I've done them before on here. And if Gerda doesn't find us, then I'll just let her know to find the replay. Anyway, I have pre-printed some film on special transfer film.
It's just so delicious.
This film is made by InkAid. It's one of the companies I use the most. It is the company I use the most. There are two companies who make this film. Variations on the same film. And yes, so I've made that. And Cal, would you mind getting the latest print that should be in the printer right now? Let me know if it isn't. Let me know if there's been another technical snafu.
We had some issues with that, but not this time.
Not this time?
Nope.
Awesome. That's so exciting.
That's fine.
Moiré fine. It's a textured photo, so yeah. So I've got this. Oh, excuse me. I have blown up very much a very small, like passport size photograph of my father about age 21. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So I didn't have time to track down the photo of myself at a sort of similar age. Unfortunately, it would have been nice to do so, but yeah, he looks very thoughtful there. I think there's some kind of there's depths to that character there. So, and there were, in fact, depths. It looks like Susan's written more.
Yes, she says she's doing great. Sadly, trying to update art database this afternoon.
Ooh.
She's shifting to artwork archive, capitalized. So
yes, I've seen that.
And it feels like a life's work, but we'll be playing with my sketchbook later.
Oh, good. Play is really important, and that's a great reward for
exactly
doing the hard work that you're doing with Artwork Archive.
Yeah.
I would be very interested to know, when you've had a chance to work with it for a little while, how you like it, how you feel about it. I have looked into it a couple of times over the years. There's just a limit to how many new things like that I can absorb financially as well as learning and work-wise. So that's why it's not part of my system at present. So what I've done instead is I've made spreadsheets, and I'm working with spreadsheets. Oh, actually, I had that backwards. Okay. All right. Oh, before I begin with the mixed media book, I wanted to share a book that arrived via delivery. Was it last week, I think? And I don't know if you've ever seen this book, Poetic Cloth, by Hannah Lamb. It's a beautiful cloth bound. Of course, it should be cloth bound, right? Hardcover book. And it's about it's called Creating Meaning in Textile Art. So I love the title and subtitle. And I think it was last year I taught a contemporary mixed media course that incorporated textile and different textile processes and so on. And I got this book to support. I think there's more of that I want to teach. And it's always so helpful to get more inspiration. But just so you can get a little glimpse. Let's get it closer.
Yeah, look at that.
I mean, I love looking at materials, so that alone, but there's also artwork inspiration in here.
Yeah, material, method, and content inspiration. And it looks like the quality of
it's beautiful printing. The paper is beautiful. The typography is beautiful.
And it looks like the examples are as well.
Yeah, it's a really excellent book. You know, I buy every year I buy several books that relate to subjects I'm interested in doing, but interested in teaching, because it's a great inspiration for my developing my own thinking, clarifying my thinking, contrasting my thinking to their thinking, and so on. And some of them have really good ideas and horrible examples. Am I right?
Oh, that's something we both find.
Yeah.
We sort of have pretty high aesthetic standards for work.
Should be down lower. Sorry. That's fine. Careful, don't touch the cable, because you know what happens.
I do.
Yeah, so this one is not like that at all. It's actually got gorgeous. Look at that beautiful chapter opening.
With the zoom in on the stitches.
Yeah, beautiful
so
details so that you see it in see it very close up. So anyway, that is I haven't had a chance to read through it properly yet, but it's just such a tactile delight too. There's the back cover. Isn't that nice?
And Susan says, of the book, looks like some cyanotypes on fabric, something she wants to try. And then on the earlier topic of archiving and organizing, she says, oh my God, yes, there's a limit to one's interest in that stuff.
Oh my God, right?
I was basically using spreadsheets in the cloud, free plan on Airtable, which is a good option too.
Right. And I'm just using, my Mac came with Numbers, and I use the spreadsheets in Numbers. I make spreadsheets in Numbers all the time for various topics, including our bookkeeping. So, and when I have a show, I make a spreadsheet for all the works that are in the show. And that's very handy because then I already have all the information I need for my inventory spreadsheet. So, yeah, so many practical things, right, that we have to worry about. So,
Cherie has joined us. Hello,
Yay,
Cherie. Yay,
you found us, Cherie.
Found our new stream. Yay. Welcome along. And she says, hey, guys, from the bookcase behind you, you have quite the library.
Oh, yeah, and bookcases in front of me.
Yeah,
just to...
That's a very tiny slice that you're seeing behind her.
I'll just... Whoops, crooked. Sorry, guys. So, yeah, lots and lots of... And there are more bookcases, too. So and there are books on tables because there's not enough shelf space. Yeah, it's poor Cal. Yeah.
Well, I benefit from it as well.
You do benefit from it as well, but it can get hard. But you know what? Books are the least of my worries, actually. It's the other stuff, right?
Yeah.
Books are so useful.
Yeah.
So I should switch to the overhead camera, I think.
You should.
And so I'll just do that. I'll just shield you from the seasick making, everybody. And there we go.
You can just adjust this part if it needs.
Adjust what part?
The camera itself, if you need to get the... Looks like the view's actually not
It's
bad.
actually quite good.
Yeah. So
I just want to move it over like that.
Yeah, and I'll move the laptop for you.
Thank you. Let's move the whole... It's all on a nice stand, so it's easy to move now. Yeah, unfortunately, I need access to those shoe boxes. Okay, so this I don't need right now, and these I don't need right now.
I'll pass them to me.
Where's the chair that used to be here?
I'm sitting on it.
Oh, okay.
I know.
I might need these.
Some nerve, eh? Stealing away your side table chair to sit on.
It is a side table.
I can bring it back if you like.
All right. So last virtual studio party, this was one of the things that I did. A gel plate monoprint from a rhubarb leaf, wild rhubarb leaf. And boy, you know, I'm thinking about doing another spread like that. But first, There are some pages back here that I didn't do anything to.
All those sort of planetary shapes are great, aren't they?
They are.
I mean, they may not be good for what you're planning, but...
Oh, I'm just trying to figure out what I might like to do.
Susan says, that rhubarb and black look wonderful now. Do they stick together at all?
No, they're actually quite good. The India ink is not prone to sticking. The shellac content of the India ink is, it's varnishy, so it resists sticking. And this is gel plate monoprints are very thin layers of paint, or they're supposed to be.
Yeah, usually.
Some people over apply the paint, and so it's not as thin as it's supposed to be. So because it's so thin, it doesn't end up as sticky as acrylic paint can. So yeah, and if you ever have a problem with with some acrylic paint you've put into a book, then varnishing it will. You can even use Liquitex. You can spray varnish it. You can use Liquitex's combo product, which is medium and varnish.
Yeah, which is nice
which
and
is
hard.
harder than normal acrylic medium. Don't use normal. You can use a matte medium that will resist sticking as well. But matte medium can come at a price in terms of the
clarity.
Lack of optical clarity. It just depends. So
you submitted a book to the sketchbook project many years ago that had lots of medium in it and acrylic paint, and it had all kinds of issues with sticking together, and it was heartbreaking because it was such a great looking book.
Before I knew as much as I know now. They're all learning opportunities.
They are.
Am I right?
They are. Like life, right? Like life. Susan Abbott says, good tips. Thanks. Gerda says, I keep getting a spinning circle on the screen and your voice goes out.
That means you probably have an internet issue, Gerda. If you're working off Wi-Fi, you may be a little farther away from your modem than is ideal. If you actually are on the live stream hardwired in with an Ethernet cable to your modem, you should get absolutely smooth feed.
But if you go closer to your modem
you should get a better feed.
Be better.
Yeah.
And something that can also help is refreshing your browser, which is usually in the same at or near the search window where you would type in a web address. There will be some kind of a circular arrow to refresh the page, and that can sometimes help. So yeah,
all good tips right there. Okay, thinking about...
And Philippa Haidu has joined us. She says, hi, I'm here now. I got mixed up and thought it was Cal's Collage Jam today. Well, it's just as well, Philippa. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, we had technical issues getting started.
Our first stream we had to abort, so it's actually just as well you were off looking for mine and joined us later. So glad to have you along. What are you going to be working on today? Are you chilling out, or are you working on one of your many paint and collage masterpieces?
So sorry you're not seeing anything on screen. I've pulled out a bag full of paper. And
Kim's bag of paper.
Because for my father's photo, I want to back it up with some Japanese paper.
It already looks delicious, that paper.
So I'm going to use glue sticks so that I can use it. I can image transfer onto it
reasonably quickly.
Quite quickly.
Yeah, the glue stick won't take too long to dry.
Won't take a lot of time. Yeah. So I put a page protector in behind the page that I'm going to be glue sticking, and this shoebox is oriented in a way that's not very good. There we go. That gives me a little more space. Okay. So, and because it's very thin paper, I'm only going to apply glue to the book.
That's very wise. That way it won't soak through the thin paper as much.
Yeah. That's right. And it will dry more quickly because, of
Yep.
course, there is water content in the glue stick as well. So we do need it to dry out a bit before doing the image transfer, because the image transfer has to soak into the paper. Now I'm going to have the paper necessarily is larger than the page of the book, and I'm going to make sure that I have it sticking out on all sides at least a little bit, because then I will get a better result to trim. Use my applicator to smooth things out.
It sounds great, even. It sounds like it's nice and
yeah,
adhering.
It's an excellent tool. And get my Olfa knife and a ruler. That ruler is not very good.
Do you want a 12-inch? I've got a 12-inch here. Is that the right
Yeah,
size for you?
That's
there
perfect.
you go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, my dear. Okay. So now I can pull this out. Might not even need the ruler. We'll see. Yeah, I think I'll use the ruler. Okay. Can you see that? I'm putting the ruler at the edge of the page there for trimming.
You need one extra hand? Or are you all right?
I think I've got it.
Okay.
Hopefully. I'm only doing it this quickly because I've only got the one coat of Yoo-hoo glue stick. So it's relatively dry. It's not dry, but it's relatively dry. I wouldn't do this if the paper were at all damp. There we go. Because my blade wasn't sharp enough. Note to self, always get a sharp blade for this. There we go. Let's see how bad the damage is. Oh, it's a little ragged there. Nothing tragic.
Nothing that's going to stop you,
Just
right?
a little tiny bit. No, I refuse to allow perfectionism to stop me. It used to stop me a lot. And at a certain point, I realized, in fact, it stopped me so much, I was at a full stop. Wouldn't you say?
I think we both
had that
problem a lot because of our design background.
Yeah, design disciplines tend to attract perfectionists.
Control freaks.
Yeah. Which has its pluses, but it has distinct minuses.
Absolutely. Susan says she finally got a bone folder a few months ago and she's already lost it. Don't you hate that?
Oh no. Oh, Susan, that's terrible. They're so great.
Yeah.
I love bone folders. One of the things that helps me is I very often have one of them. I have more than one because of classes, but I very often keep one in this thing. And usually, even if I can't find any of the other ones, I can find this one. But I did actually, in the last 6 months or so, I got went to IKEA and got a set of drawers for organizing things, like to put on a tabletop or on a shelf, called Moppy. Pardon my Swedish. And which I don't have. And I have a drawer that they go into if I find them lying around, right? That's the thing. We just finding homes for things so that they have a place to go. Okay, this is now in good shape. So, Gerda, image transfer number 1
coming up.
It's going to be coming up. Yeah.
I asked Philippa what she was up to. She says she's going to work on a collage piece. She's almost finished. Then maybe a few Christmas cards for overseas family.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah.
And Val just joined us. Hello, Val.
Hey, Val, you found us, eh?
Welcome along. Nice to have you along. And she said she forgot today is Monday, just remembered.
Well, that's fortunate.
That
Val.
actually really worked out well, because as you may hear, I've heard already that we had a problem with our first stream. So
a technical snafu. So we had to cancel the scheduled stream or stop it and delete it. And
so if you've been right on the ball, you would have been like, where'd my stream go?
Yeah.
So
it wasn't ideal, but it had no camera feed at all. So really, we didn't have a lot of choice.
This really, without that.
There we go.
There's not really much point to doing it.
That's going to look nice.
It's going to look great. What a handsome fella.
He really was, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good. So what I need to do. So this ink aid film that I'm using for the transfer is designed specifically, I'm going to go over this just in case someone who's watching either now or later in a replay doesn't know what I'm doing. This is a special film design, inkjet printable film designed for image transfers. This particular one is manufactured by Ink Aid, INKAID, at inkaid1.com, numeral 1. And DAS, DASS, also makes film like this. And it needs to be printed on pigment-based inkjet printers. So you have to find out, if you have an inkjet printer, if your ink is dye-based, which is more common in the less expensive printers, or if it's pigment-based. The printer I've used for this is an Epson WF 3520, which is long since discontinued, but it's an office, it's a multifunction printer designed for small offices and home offices. So it's not an expensive printer, but it happens to use inks that are suitable.
Pigment-based inks versus dye-based, which is unusual in a inexpensive printer.
Exactly, it's not typical. So, but it does mean that they exist. So the paper needs to be saturated with. I'm using. You can use Purell. One step I've found is good. You need to use a high quality alcohol-based hand sanitizer gel. If it says no alcohol, it's not useful for this image transfer process. It has to have alcohol. And the higher the concentration of alcohol, the easier, the better the transfers will be. Now I'm going to hold this at an angle to the light to see as the gel that I'm applying gets absorbed into the paper, and the sheen goes away. And that, you need sheen, but you need a very thin coat to be sitting on the surface of the paper. And you need a smooth coat. Normally I use a wider brush than this. This is a 1-inch brush. This is what I had handy. I would normally recommend
like a 2-inch,
a 2-inch brush for this. In a slightly bigger page. This is about a 7 by 10 inch page. Than a letter size, or bigger than letter size page, I would use a 3-inch brush or a 2.5. More likely a 2.5-inch brush actually. But okay.
Because it
I'm going to double check it. Yeah,
coverage,
it does.
Right?
You know what? It's gone again. So I can't. Where there is no sheen, there is not going to be a transfer. Okay, and that's why it matters.
So it's because Kim needs to articulate and also work. So she might.
I can't work as quickly.
She might go quiet on you just while she gets this done and gets the transfer down on it.
And you lower it at one edge and then
Sort of
lower the
roll it
rest of
down,
it,
right?
sort of
Yeah.
roll it down. And you have to be careful burnishing it.
Because you don't want to move it, right?
Yeah, the once the emulsion on the printed side of the film makes contact with the thin layer of Purell gel or whatever equivalent, the Purell starts dissolving the emulsion, and therefore it moves. And in fact, you can see it's a little damaged here because of that. But that is also part of the nature of image transfers versus a print. You can also see I got it on slightly crooked. Again, when I'm in my studio, just mindfully, quietly doing my work, I have a better batting average than when I'm having to talk through the process. So you can see I've moved it, and so it's broken and shifted slightly. So there are all these little cracks. So that's because I was talking and trying to get it down and not being as mindful as I should. But don't worry, I'm going to do another one so you'll see it again.
And sometimes
and it can totally add to the
take your
character.
hand up and then down to
sorry.
it's
yes.
Okay, it's sort of lost the
get the focus.
Yeah. But those flaws
Focus. Hello. Get some focus. She needs to have so much trouble with the focus. I am taking up most of the screen. It should be focusing on me. Will it help if I use this? Oh, now it's focused. Go figure. Who knows?
And we're back down to the good.
Yeah. Honestly, and you want this to the thinner the paper, the less time it needs to in contact. Thick paper, you might want 3 minutes. But you don't want it on too long because you don't want the film to actually glue itself to the paper. So it's one of those things you have to practice to get a feeling for, just like any other technique, right? Any other medium or technique. So I'm going to test lift one of the corners. And okay, so one of the problems is that the Purell gel has been a bit of a solvent to the Yoo-hoo stick, but I just pushed the corner back down. It was lifting along with the film. So I've just pushed the corner back down to try and it's fine since then. I think that corner is not going to transfer well, so I'm just going to lift it. And yeah, it seems to have been too dry there. So I'm just going to put a bit more gel down on this brush.
Since your hands were up there for so long, Cherie says, "Strong lifeline, Kim."
Well, I genuinely hope so. Yeah, sorry about too much hand, not enough art.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, yes, that is funny. I like that Cherie turns it into something positive.
I can just see that as a comment on YouTube. Too much hand, not enough art.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I managed to rescue that corner, so it's not white anymore. I thought I was going to need to do more. Here, this edges tend to dry out the fastest, so it's not surprising. And sometimes having a broken, irregular edge is exactly what you want. This, because it's trying to be a full bleed kind of image, it'll kind of work better if I've got more of the image than not, but you know. Okay, there he is. Now, right now it's very wet and fragile as a result. So I'm just going to let that dry. Could you do me a little favor, dear?
Of course.
Could you bring me my hand fan from my bag?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Oh, this is an opportunity to have a little drink, and then I'm going to hand fan this. But an electric fan would make it go faster and would be less work on your arm.
You figure RSI? What RSI?
Oh, it might be in the gray pouch in the bathroom. Okay. Just a note that this film can be washed off with just some dish detergent and warm water. And it can't be reused for image transfers because the emulsion has been removed along with the image. But it's very good film for stencils, for you can make monoprints from them. You could paint onto them and layer them into mixed media. So, there are options. You can make windows. If you were to do a cutout in paper or in a book, you could make a transparent window using this. Experiment with paint pens. Not the watercolory type paint pens, but more acrylic or oil paint pens. So lots of uses for the waste film. So no luck, eh? So I'll get a cardboard backer.
I know I fetched it for you at some point, so I'm wondering whether it's in this other purse. Here it is. I've got it.
Got it? Excellent, because of course it's like a Chinese puzzle in here. You move one thing, you encounter another thing, and so on and so forth. So Val, are you working on a collage?
Val doesn't do very much collage anymore. I think she's down to about 10 pieces a day now.
Right.
Really kind of falling down on the job.
There's something interesting if I were to do a close-up video of this fan action and his face, so it appears and disappears, and disappears.
I think there's something in that.
There is something.
This is what art happens to artists. You're doing something mundane and you notice something.
Oh yeah, happens all the time. All the time. Never know what will come of that either. The observations like that. They may take a long time to emerge into work. They may never emerge, or they may show up. They may affect something right away.
I was as a little related note, I was thinking, I should post I haven't posted one of my old signs for a while.
Yeah.
And so I looked at them and I looked at a sign and thought, but what would I say about this? I have no idea. And so I gave up. And this was yesterday.
Right.
Today I had to stop in the middle of doing something else because I had all these thoughts. And I had to, and I just wrote it and posted it. You know? And it's that thing that, you put it into the hopper.
Yeah. You primed the pump.
And then you either go, well, oh well, or you just know that that's going to feed in later.
Which shows how vital it is to start things.
Yes, exactly.
Not to just get trapped in the...
So many of us think, oh, well, I'd only have 10 minutes anyway because I have to dash out the door. I have this other thing to do. So we don't. And then, so that means our tomorrow doesn't have the 10 minutes, today's 10 minutes to build on. So
exactly.
Yeah. Creativity, eh?
Yeah.
So Val answers she's working on collage for Paris Collage Collective. Yeah.
Well, there we go. All right. So now I'm going to think about the cropping of this because this page is larger than the book page. And I see that those photographs are going to have a significant impact on the reading of the heart. So that's just going to be the way it is.
Would you consider putting something translucent over top?
I certainly could, just like I've done with my dad's photo. I put Japanese paper over top first, but I sort of thought I wanted not to do that in this case. And
Right.
it's just going to be interfered with.
Yeah.
Because that's the nature of the beast. And I just have to settle on what kind of cropping I want to have. There, that looks about right for me.
So many decisions, even in the most basic artistic processes.
So one of the things about this kind of image transfer is that I can't layer the exact same process over top of one done this way. So I can't put another Purell gel transfer on top of this Purell gel. What I can do is I can still do a film-based image transfer over top if I want, but I would need to make it I would need to use transfer medium in that case. There is a transfer medium that can be used with this film that allows you to layer over top like this, or to apply it to other kinds of surfaces. So anyone who saw my big scroll works, where I did giant image transfers that were 3 feet by 6.5 feet or something, that was onto Chinese paper, which normally can totally take Purell gel transfers, but it's not possible to do a transfer that large using Purell gel because it would evaporate
so quickly, right?
Yeah.
Just to cover that amount of space,
you'd never get
long dry at one end before you got to the other end.
Oh yeah, it'd be bone dry before you got halfway. So so I use transfer medium for those. Okay, so that's good. Now this is tricky because there's a curve here. This left-hand page, there's a curve at the spine, and film-based transfers like flat surfaces. You really don't want to be trying to do non-flat surfaces. So I'm going to be doing something risky here, but I love to do risky things. So
out on a limb with Kim.
That's right.
There, that's your
out on a limb with Kim.
Don't you think that's your podcast or something?
Oh my god,
that's hilarious.
That's too funny. Okay, this is damp. Normally I would let that dry, but I'm going to jump the gun. Because I'm out on a limb, right, Cal?
That's you.
I am. By the way, speaking of podcasts, I have a podcast coming out, not my own podcast, but Art Conversations with Lisa Jane Irvine. She spoke to me individually, not just as a couple with Cal. And we had a tremendous time together. It was a really rich, wide-ranging conversation, wouldn't you say, Cal?
I would say.
And I'm very pleased with how it turned out, and I would love it if you would give it a listen and let me know what you think. It is my sincere hope that you would find it very interesting and entertaining too. We had a lot of laughs during it, so as well as talking about a lot of serious things. So please check it out if you possibly can. It's available on just about any of the podcast platforms. So that would include Apple's podcasts,
Spotify, Google Play, I think it's called.
Yeah. I think it's Google Play where they do the podcasts. And so I'm going to do something a little different here. I'm going to put this face down. So the emulsion side is up.
Right. And then close the book on it.
And then I'm going to close the book on it. Well, I'm just going to close the page on it.
Right. Which will roll down
and
nicely.
Then it will.
From that side, so you're not.
Start off burnishing this side.
Yeah.
Just to get contact. So never done this before. This is, that's
this particular method of
yeah,
using
this rolling it from the back, and
But
that's my standard MO though, is to do things that I've never done before. So
well, because you saw an opportunity, right? You thought this is going to be really difficult to apply to a curved page.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Whereas the page that's down is flat, so I could lay it down flat on that and bring the curved page down to it. So that makes perfect
I'm not going to lift the page very much, but just enough to get the applicator in there, because I don't want the page to curve.
Right.
So it's okay if it's at an angle, but not if it's curved. And I'm just going to use my hand now to...
You could flip the book over and leave it open this wide, but...
Yes.
And that will allow you to get a little more pressure down.
That's right. Good suggestion, Cal.
And when you get past the critical part of that, Gerda would like clarification on what transfer medium is.
Transfer medium, Inkaid sells, and Das Art sell their own versions. They are designed specifically for this transfer film. So they're made by the exact same companies. So on their websites, you'll find the same. You'll find the transfer medium. Inkaids is called Transferiez. It's a very strange spelling though. It's the word transfer plus IEZ. So they probably mean it to be Transferiez or something like that.
Isn't it EZE?
Oh, maybe it's EZE. Okay, it's something funny like that, because American companies like to do weird things to the language so that they can copyright the word, trademark the word. So anyway, and it comes in a concentrate, so you don't need a lot of it. You mix it up with 91% isopropyl rubbing alcohol in the quantities that it tells you to, and then you have transfer medium. So I can show you that in a minute. Not in a minute, but today. So there's my film. I don't know how well this is going to transfer, but you know what? It's all learning.
In fact, since it's in your altered book, it's all book learning.
Right. I'm just kind of pressing it. The warmth of my hand can maybe help sometimes, even not rubbing it so much that it moves. I can see there's striations in the application of the gel when I look through the film. I think that would be hard for me to show, so I'm not going to try showing. But you can see places in the blacks where the blacks are blacker than other places. Now, it just might be the layering of my transfer image versus the pre-printed image, so it might not be that bad at all. Let's see. I'm going to lift this corner and see what I've got. I have what's called a partial transfer. So I'm going to, it's sort of starved of gel here. The whole transfer may be a repair job, but let's just see how it goes. It's always worth trying.
Susan asks, do you make altered books primarily for yourself, or have you made them to show as well?
I have not yet made them to show, only because I've not had enough time to work on them. And I have one that's well underway, but I felt compelled to switch horses midstream because I needed a project like this related to my father. So, so that's my answer there. There, now you see that's much better now. And So part of this stuck too long to the paper, and so it's actually lifting the paper. I've had it on too long. Remember, this book paper is very thin. It's an encyclopedia, and because they print so many pages, they print on thin paper. It's a very nice finish, but it's very thin paper. So it's important to remember that. Can you take the lid off of this so I can glue back down the piece of paper? Thank you. Just going to put some glue stick where that patch of paper peeled and attempt. It may not work.
Every once in a while it can.
Yeah,
always
exactly.
Worth a try,
it's always
right?
worth trying.
Yeah.
It may not work, and you just live with that. It's part of the philosophical value of practicing art. Now, for Gerda's benefit, anyone's benefit, but I know Gerda has a specific thing in mind. Gerda, when you print your base image on heavy, high-quality paper that's smooth, you're not going to have this issue, except you can have an issue if you keep the film on far too long. Okay? Thin paper is going to reach its limit much more quickly than thick paper. But yeah, you do 3 minutes would be the maximum time to keep the film on the paper. It actually transferred quite well. Like, this corner is the worst, but I'm quite pleased with that, actually.
Yeah, it looks great. Actually, it looks like it's on some sort of hoarding where the it's weathered or something, but it looks great.
Yeah, and that's again, that's
a gift.
It's like a painterly effect, except it's a printmaking effect. Because, of course, image transfer is a form of printmaking. Monoprinting, obviously, because not going to get another print off of that. Now, I can, of course, use these scraps if I decide to, for any reason, somewhere else. So there we go. All right, time to get my fan out again. First, I'm going to have a drink, though. Susan, I hope your cataloging is going well. There are artists. I've shown many artists in my Altered Books courses who do sell their altered books. They're really focused on altered books and they sell them. I have a sense that there are going to be a lot over the coming years. There are going to be a lot more altered books and artist books and zines coming from me, because my past as a publication designer, and occasionally even a book designer, but mostly publication designer, periodical designer, I guess I should say, means that I really relate to the format of the sequence of pages. And yeah, so it definitely speaks to me, and I need to do more of it. I intended to do a zine for the Heart Space show, my debut show at Redhead. But oh my God, I did so much new work for that. I think I did 48 new pieces for that show, some of which were enormous, some of which were very time consuming, some were very small, some were relatively quick, but it was a huge amount of work. So I didn't get to the zine, but boy, I'm really...
You're still hungry for it, right?
Zine ideas have been percolating in my head, and that's the problem. Getting back to what we were saying earlier, you got to start, right? So
Susan said earlier, of when you asked about the archiving, she said, I keep getting distracted by your transfer. And then,
well, that's good, I guess.
and then she said she's made a few altered books just for herself, and she loves them.
Yeah.
We're with you.
It's a wonderful way to work, and honestly, it's so compact, right? The book is itself, and you work in whatever medium you're going to work on that at that, or media you're going to work with in that session, and that's it. And there are so many books in the world that they're not useful anymore for their original purpose. But they're fantastic for this.
What you're working in is a perfect example, right?
Yeah, I mean seriously, not science from 1968. It's not exactly.
It's not current.
It's not what someone needs for their research project,
No, I mean it can be fascinating.
Yeah.
But
that's about it.
Presumably, it's archived somewhere.
Yeah.
And and the general population is like, I can get this stuff on the internet, and current. So
yeah. So one of the things I'm going to do with this this image transfer here is, after it's dry, I'm going to work into it a little bit, because some of the work, I'm going to do some working into it that's really about filling in some of the gaps, but using paint pens, white, black, and red paint pens to fill in some of the gaps, not to make it perfect, but to get a fuller sense of the part of the image that's missing. And I'll bring some of it up here too, because I love the effect of hand drawing over top of something like this that I have printed and transferred. It creates a richer mixed media feeling. And I do it with acrylic skin image transfers. I do it with this kind, with direct transfers, you name it. Because that layering of technique or of media is why I love mixed media. And it's very, very effective for things like this. There we go. So I'll just hold that up a little closer so you can see. So like here's a perfect example of sort of striations going in this direction here. And so I'll come in with black, white, and red, not to completely eliminate all of the striations, but to interrupt them and to get the image more dominant than the striations, but to leave some of that effect there. And I don't know, this is really graphic. This is really tonal, even though I made it much higher contrast in Photoshop before I transferred it. But I might bring line into this because line is so important to this. This is an antique engraving image that's been digitized. So, of course, it's full of line. Like here, it's incredibly full of line.
The tone is essentially created with line, right?
Exactly.
Different densities of line.
Yeah. So anyway, so if I bring line into this photo of my father, then they'll feel more connected. But there's nothing wrong if I decide not to and keep it tonal, because then it's contrasting. So, these are all the decisions you have to make when you're working on stuff like this. So when you wanted to do film transfers, it's very important to do some practice transfers to get the feel for it before you work in. Like right now, I'm working straight cold into my book without not even following my own advice, which is normally I would do a warm-up transfer before I did an important transfer straight into the book. But I guess it's I'm feeling very Devil May Care after doing the singing performance yesterday. So I figure I'll just wing it and deal with the consequences, right? Sounds like me.
It does.
Wouldn't you say?
Out on a limb with Kim.
Oh, that's so funny. All right.
Things are often funny because there's truth to them.
There is truth to them. That's true. Now, I'm just... Where did that go? Not last week, but 2 weeks ago, I did this photo transfer onto this Joss paper hell banknote, as they call them. And you can see him there. And I'm thinking about that, how I might use it. Now, of course, I've got a stack of these bills and managed to tear the one that has the image transfer on it. Here's the missing piece. So, that's an opportunity. Am I right, Cal?
Of course.
It's an opportunity to create a gap and reveal things below it, like the text below it or image below it or something.
So much of what we do is a damn. Oh, wait.
Yeah. Exactly.
Got an idea.
Actually, I do have an idea.
Why are we not surprised?
So I'm just gonna pull out another one. This was the original. Yeah, that comes wrapped in a sort of mylar metallic ribbon. Does it say General? Not really sure why it says General. So that's what it originally looked like. Oh, this one has a couple of little tears in it. I think this is a kind of paper that tears really easily because, of course, it's designed for burning, and easy burning would be the point.
Yes, it should catch quickly, right?
Yes, exactly. Like
so
if we have to keep lighting and relighting the burning of the offering, then it's not much use, right?
And for those of you who have camped and used things like newspaper or like a very high quality packaging, cardboard or
high quality packaging is terrible.
It's apart from any coatings, even if it's uncoated but a very dense paper, it doesn't catch nearly as quickly. So.
No, exactly. Good. I've got another page protector. All right. I'm just thinking in terms of I've got some gesso, and I'll maybe water it down a bit and paint into this with the gesso. And then I can do an image transfer using medium. Oh, actually, what if I put a heart in here? Wouldn't that be amazing? And then it makes me wonder about putting it here. Just so you can see what's there right now. I'm sorry I can't translate the text for you. There, you can actually see it says Hell Banknote. Right. And just a reminder, hell is just referring to the afterlife. And this money can be used to provide for your departed loved one in the afterlife, including possibly bribing the officials in the afterlife, is my understanding.
Some useful information right there.
Right?
Yep.
It's good to be prepared.
Yep.
So it's not that my father, this is not part of my father's personal belief system, but it is part of the cultural landscape he came from. So yeah, I think I'll do it on this side. Now the problem is this is bumpy paper, so I'm not sure how well this will transfer. So whenever there's a surface that I'm not sure it's going to transfer well, that could include wood or plastic or leather or vinyl or goodness knows,
any number of
possibly tricky surfaces. In fact, this one I could use a small brush for. Get a small brush. Good to use this brush up. I've had it forever. So Gerda was asking about the transfer medium earlier. I don't know, maybe Cal, you could get one of the
Transferiez.
Yeah. One of the bottles of the concentrate.
Yeah.
But I buy these little mini mason jars at the dollar store to store mixtures. Oh, here's an example. Mixture. And I've made myself some little labels. I made these up for when I was teaching classes so that students would, when they took their mixtures home, they would have the safety information on it. The reason there's a skull and crossbones and a flammable warning symbol on them are because isopropyl alcohol itself is poisonous and flammable. Okay, and it contains isopropyl rubbing alcohol. So it's not that the transfer medium is inherently some horrible thing. I know one of my students got extremely anxious as a result of the warning symbols, but honestly, your Javex bleach or so many cleaning products have these symbols on them. So rubbing alcohol, which is we always have in our bathroom.
And it looks like you were right about the spelling, so.
Yeah, I knew it was a really weird spelling.
I wonder if it's meant to be like Transferiez.
No, I think it's Transferiez.
Yeah.
Or it could be Transferiez. If they put a hyphen before the Z, since it's American. But, I don't think that they quite thought it through as well as they could have.
Yeah.
Potentially. God love them, though. They are a terrific company. Honestly, Jim, who owns the company, he's been
very supportive.
He's been a really supportive guy. Yeah. So anyway, this is the concentrate. I bought before the show, the Heart Space show in 2019, because I was going to be doing all those giant scrolls. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to order a whole bunch of this stuff. And I now currently have an inventory of 5 completely full bottles of this because I forgot how little of the medium you actually need compared to rubbing alcohol. So it's 1 tablespoon of concentrate to 4 fluid ounces of 91% isopropyl alcohol in a glass or alcohol-proof container. So this particular kind of plastic container you can use is safe. So it's the same container as, I don't know if Golden still uses it, but I used an old Golden medium container, cleaned it out, and I've put solution. So that is to say it's been diluted into this and it's been fine for a long time. You're not supposed to keep it as long as I keep it. I don't worry about that. I just, it works fine, even if you keep it for a while. So so that's the stuff. I'm sure it comes in smaller containers than this. And if so, like a 16 ounce would be plenty, unless you're doing tons and tons. But honestly, a 32 ounce bottle, I did not manage to use up in the course of that show. So
Cherie says earlier, this is a comment from earlier, so I think talking about the hell banknotes, like paying the ferryman. Yes,
it's exactly like that. But in addition to that, it's also providing for other needs. So There are joss paper. That is, joss is the name for incense sticks as well. So it basically means it's being burnt as an offering. Joss paper replicas of everything. Everything they think a successful dead person could possibly need. Cars. There are people who have had, cars made close to life size as joss paper offerings. I mean, it's quite insane. It's also quite wonderful in a way. I don't know. I find it really fascinating. All right, so I'm going to try using this medium. Now, one of the things is you can't wash the brush after you use this medium. This is not a water-soluble medium. It will gum up your pipes, so you don't do that. You put it away in a Ziploc bag with a little touch of alcohol in it, and until the next time you need it, and you make sure you seal it up tight. Or you throw it away if you're not going to use.
And I would definitely not recommend using any of your good brushes for this.
No, don't use any good brushes because you can't wash them. Now, you can wash a measuring cup when you make it. Use a glass measuring cup, and you can wash it out thoroughly with pure isopropyl alcohol first. But throw away oh man, I can't open these jars. My RSIs are still affecting my hands. These are stubborn jars anyway because the medium's gluing them shut. Right? Yeah. Well, maybe get a broccoli elastic because probably won't work.
No, but it's right at hand. That's why.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. It worked perfectly. Thank you, Cal. Yeah, so my grip is impaired because of the RSI, which means repetitive strain injury for anyone who doesn't know the meaning of that. Okay. So normally what you do is you pour this out into a container. You don't want to contaminate your mixture with any stuff that may be on your brush. And I will do that if this doesn't prove to be enough medium for the job. Look at that. Make sure it's covering all the areas I need covered. And of course, I'm such a shedder, so of course I'm going to have hair in my project. I have hair in almost all of my projects, I think.
Putting yourself into everything you do.
That's right. Here we are. So this is a brush from a previous, and it's still moist from ages ago because this is an airtight bag. So that's good testimony to this bag. Now, of course, I can't seem to unzip it because it's probably glued. Oh, there we go. It worked. Yeah, it is a little bit glued. That's part of why it's so airtight. Just by the medium.
So Gerda asks, so I can use Purell on paper, but the mixture on what specific other surfaces?
If you wanted to layer on top of your Purell,
another transfer on
top of it. Or as I mentioned just a little while ago, glass, plastic, leather,
canvas probably, right?
Canvas.
Wood. Well, wood, the Purell. Wood. Unprimed wood, the Purell would probably work just fine on for the first.
It doesn't work just fine.
Oh.
Wood absorbs very slowly. It's not a good surface. You want.
Okay. See, she knows. I'm speaking hypothetically. So
you want medium. Yeah. So with medium, I could do a transfer onto this page protector, for example, or onto plexiglass. So it works on non-absorbent as well as, semi-absorbent surfaces or fully absorbent surfaces. As I mentioned, I used the medium for my big scrolls because Purell was not going to work.
I'm going to dry too quickly. Yeah.
You can't do a large transfer with Purell. It evaporates.
It's great for small, immediate things on porous surfaces.
Well, and by small, he means not 3 feet by 6 feet. If you've got a big brush and you work quickly, you can do a 13 by 19 inch transfer with Purell. But you gotta be practiced.
Got to be ready and
prepared, practiced. Know your materials.
Know your materials, kids.
Know your materials. Oh, geez, why is that not transferring? The textured paper is an issue because smooth is the name of the game for transfers, just like for printmaking generally, right? There we go. So it's a little bit gummy. There we go. All right. Gotta ease that down. Good. So you peel it up gradually. Don't rip off the film. And notice this. I'm going to pull it back like this so it's sort of rolling, not lift up. Don't lift straight up because then the physics of it is you're actually pulling the emulsion up and off the paper. When you roll it off, the angle is different, and it's, trust me, experience bears me out on this over and over again. The transfer is more successful. And I'm going to put my finger at the end because I don't want it just suddenly leaping off the page prematurely. And there we go. So that's quite a clean transfer. I've got a little bit of stuff here, but that's pretty darn clean.
Wow. Right. I'll say.
Yeah. So the rolling back is also relevant to Purell transfers, by the way. Same thing. You don't want to pull straight up and then have the emulsion sort of semi-sticking to the film and pulling off of the paper. So there's the transfer all wet. And I'll let that dry and see what happens. Like, I didn't plan this. I just looked at it and thought that looked like it would be interesting to see. I would be interested in seeing that. And that's a very good reason to make something, to try something, just because you'd find it interesting. All right. Close up this jar. You don't want a lot of alcohol fumes. It's not good for you. So ventilation is a good idea. And closing the lids of things when you're not using them, when you're not immediately using them, is also important. Okay. Now, so this page protector is a really good idea while these remain damp, and they do remain damp. So this side, because it's transferred into a highly absorbent paper, that Japanese paper, it's not sticky at all. It's quite dry feeling. This one feels stickier. It's still damp, and it has been transferred onto a glossy paper, so it is less absorbent than the paper on the facing page. I am just going to find where here we are, where that page is. And there's this. That's my grandfather with my father. And I'm thinking about, now this comet, actually it's a binary star, but it looks like a comet. I'm going with comet. I'm not going to split hairs on this. Hopefully there are no astronomers in this. I'm thinking about there's a mythical Indonesian. My father's from Indonesia, and there's this mythical Indonesian character called a Garuda Bird, and I forget who rides it. You can see there's a character riding this Garuda Bird. There's the head of the bird. And Indonesia's national airline is called Garuda Airlines. It makes sense, right? Flying mythical creature that's unique to Indonesia. Well, it exists in Thailand and maybe a couple other places as well. But anyway, my father flew a very long distance for the 1950s to get to Canada from Indonesia. And he flew I guess there was a slightly shorter way and a somewhat longer way. So he flew across Europe. So I guess he flew across Europe and the Middle East and Central Asia and all that, and landed in London, and then from London flew here. And I think about the Garuda Bird a lot in reference to his journey to Canada. And what an enormous journey it was, not just in terms of the flight, obviously, but to a place where he had no family, whereas he was used to being surrounded by vast extended family networks, where the culture was alien, where, he spoke English, but where the language was his third language, I guess. Yeah. So traveled vast distances. So I'm looking at this, wondering how I might incorporate a Garuda Bird into this spread, because I find this image compelling. In relation to that. Now, what did I do? Oh, good. Just wanted to make sure my new transfer was drying safely, not with something piled on top of it, which everything on this table is in danger of getting piled on top of.
Vishnu is who flies on.
Oh, thank you, dear.
Garudas.
Yeah. So the origin is Hindu.
Yeah. Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain. Jain.
So Indonesia is called that because the original major cultural force there, influence, was India. And so Bali is still Hindu.
And on the better late than never, I should give you a heads up, it's 3:30.
Is it really?
But we got a little bit of a late start, so if you want,
you could run. I think I'm going to go a little late, everybody. And hopefully you can stay with us. Maybe
another 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So if you do have to leave right at the dot, that's completely understandable. Thank you for joining us. If you have a few extra minutes, feel free to hang out with us while Kim works on our next step.
Doesn't seem reasonable given.
No, you kind of got all ready and then you had the tech issues, and so.
Yeah. No. Oh. The wing. The wing. That's just a natural right there.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, you were saying.
I was going to say, Gerda has another question, which is there a way to do a photo transfer so the image is not reversed?
You have to specify in your print window that you want it to mirror image. There's another term, depending on the program you're in. What is the other term?
Flop, maybe.
Yeah, no, I've never seen that in a print window. There's something else, though.
I'm just going to use a print window and see if I can.
If you go into layout, when you go to print, go to layout.
And it may vary on different platforms.
Yeah, it depends on the program you're in, but you need to be able to specify mirror image because it's part of the print driver too, right? So she'll have the print driver installed on her.
Flip horizontally is what it is for.
So if you see either mirror image or flip horizontal with a little checkbox beside it, you need to click on that checkbox.
And in my print window, it may differ on a different platform, but it gives me a preview and I can see, oh yeah, that's now the text is backwards, or the image is backwards. So
now, if you you should have that because you have the printer driver. It should show up in some part of your print options when you send a print. But if you have any trouble with that, then you have Photoshop or Photoshop Elements, just do a horizontal mirror image, reflection, whatever you want to call it, flopping it at source and do a save as so that you can say this has a horizontal reflection, or you can say flop because that's the print term for it, or graphic design and print media term for it. And then you'll have a separate file. You'll have the original file, and then you'll have a separate file that is the flopped version of it that you can print film from. And it's always good to have one in case you need to print again, because you always think, oh, well, I'm not going to need this again, and then that's exactly the image you'll need again. So it's always a good idea to.
In Photoshop, the term is flip canvas horizontal or vertical.
There we go.
If you flip it horizontally, it will.
Well, and you can also just image adjust. Isn't there a flip horizontal in image adjust?
Or
maybe I'm thinking of edit transform.
Yeah, you might be. It's under image rotation, but which gives you 180, 90, 90,
but
arbitrary,
not a flip.
And then the flips are below that. So
yeah.
So
So
that's
that's what I mean.
Anyway, we digress.
So we've now given you at least half a dozen methods there, Gerda. So you can try whichever one seems easiest. If that doesn't work, try the next one. Remember, all of these virtual studio parties, the videos, the replay videos exist on my YouTube channel in the My Virtual Studio Parties playlist, so you can always go back to them.
Come back and watch something again, or listen to it.
If you can't remember, or your notes somehow are missing something, or whatever. Okay, so I'm thinking I need some watered down black. I was hoping for the India ink, but I'll just use paint. It's all right. Thank you, dear. Maybe I'll try this. Did I share this last time? The black 2.0?
I think you might have.
I think I did, yeah.
But,
so that's a
your new
super black,
of your new toys. Yep.
Super matte black. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So I'll try that. With a bunch of water. Because I want to wash. This is not wet, by the way, although it is very slightly sticky, the blue. Oh, and I just poured some water on my book. That's not a good thing. Pat, can you rip off? You don't want to get your book wet, except in limited ways that your processes need, because you don't want all the pages rippling on you. Then you won't be a happy image transfer. All right. I'm sort of sketching it in with this brush. It will all get refined later, and it's Indonesian art, traditional art is very elaborate. All the surfaces are highly developed, highly decorated, and so that's going to be a factor in this too. It's interesting. This isn't normally the direction I would have pointed it to indicate its travels, but since he took the long way around, it's not inappropriate. The Garuda bird has a very elaborate head. And I think this is going to become part of its head ornamentation. You know what's interesting is it has a human ear with an earring on it. Isn't that fascinating? I think that must be to indicate that this is a supernatural being with
It's not hard of hearing.
Oh my God. Did you guys hear that?
If you did, I'm sorry.
You should be.
I am very,
You
very
really
sorry.
should be.
I am.
Yeah, good. As long as you're sorry, that's
what matters.
That is. I don't worry about getting things wrong. I'm, sketching it in, and it will all get refined as I develop it in whatever media. I'm not even sure what that thing is that they're showing, but anyway, I'll just carry on. Yeah. Well, that's going to be fun, developing that. You can see the super matte paint when I tilt the book. As the glossy pages versus the matte paint are quite...
The matte paint sort of kills all the gloss, which is fun.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. So it looks quite gray compared to the black in real life. I mean, it's very dark gray, but it's just that sheen difference. It's definitely black. It's a highly pigmented black. It's a special binder that they use. It's acrylic, but it's a specially modified binder that accepts more pigment. So that's why it's blacker black than normal. So I think we've done the 10 minutes, and I think I'm sort of at a good stage with this.
To stop. Yeah.
Like I've got a plan, or the beginnings of a plan. So how did everybody else do with their work or play? Gerda, if you're doing a big photo transfer, like a full page, one of the things you can do is use some painter's tape to provide a little bit of a hinge at one edge, the edge you're going to lay down first, which isn't sort of the opposite of the leading edge in a sense, but that can help stabilize it. Because remember, I mentioned if it moves while it's in contact, it will cause issues. But practice and see what you develop a feel for it, and try out hinging or not. See what you prefer.
Susan says, still doing data, but you're giving me ideas to get back to my altered book. Great session.
Oh, good. That's lovely, Susan.
Yeah,
I'm so glad to hear it. And it's good that you're getting the data in.
You'll be grateful later. It's the kind of thing when it's when you have to find something later.
You're able to look it up, and there it is.
Oh, there it is.
There's all the information.
The system works.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been playing with colored cross-hatching.
I'll share it here.
Sure.
So this is what Cal's been doing.
Well, I'm sort of idly playing along.
There we go. Yeah. And you got earlier ones you were doing probably at the previous session.
Yeah. Susan says, grateful later is something your mom says. Ain't that the truth? That is so true.
Eat your spinach.
You'll be grateful later.
You're so right.
Yeah. That's
that's funny.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah.
So once we reach a certain age, we sort of start to see mom's wisdom, right? At least sometimes.
Here's the state of the transfers now. And this one's getting, it's still a bit sticky, but it's still a bit damp, but it's getting better. This one's totally fine. I could work into this one now if I wanted, like some paint pen or some ink or whatever. I might as well show the earlier pages that I did. There's an image transfer that got away on me. This is another image transfer on the end papers, directly onto the end papers.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's a portion of my dad's birth certificate. In Dutch, because it was a Dutch colony at the time. I love the stamp, the official stamps and the little annotations, though. That just gets me, and the old typewriter type as well. Love that stuff. Yeah. I'm sort of thinking that I'm going to paint another spread black with India ink. I might even do that when our session's over. And I have to think about what I'm doing with this. I did put it on that Japanese paper because I was thinking of layering on other media. So I have to think about that some more. But yeah, I'd like to do a kind of an inverse print of a rhubarb leaf in red on black.
That'd be great.
So that might be That might be maybe no, it can't be that spread. No, it'll be maybe a subsequent spread. Yeah. So,
Gerda says, thanks. Initially, I didn't realize the image was reversed, so I had these beautiful but reversed film images. Thank you so much. Now I have to order the medium. Love the cross-hatching. Thanks, Gerda.
Right. And remember, you don't need to order the medium if you are doing transfers onto your prints on paper. It's totally fine to just do it directly onto your prints on paper.
Yeah,
so
I think she's probably thinking about.
You've probably got some ideas,
exactly.
Though. So yeah. In which case, I fully support you in that because I'm keen on it myself. So yeah. So it early days in the book, but that's great. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today, for finding us. If you were on the original live stream that wasn't working, and next Monday
we'll be virtual collage jamming live at the Gladstone
and live streaming from the Gladstone. So if you are not among those who have snapped up the 12 spots,
there are still a few spots left.
Just a small number of spots are still available to be in person if you are able to bring proof of full vaccination.
And bring your mask, and you're welcome to join us. Just email me. I've got a few spots left on the list.
Yeah, you have to register.
Yeah,
to come to the in-person. And before the session, there will be a tour by Lee Petrie, the curator at the Gladstone.
Yeah,
which we will also be trying to live stream. So those of you who are
cross your
remote,
fingers that it all works. But I've already scheduled 2 streams for Monday. One at 1:30. Ahead of the 2 o'clock start for the tour, which will probably be 15-20 minutes, and then a few minutes to get us as we get settled up
into
in the
studio. Room. Yeah,
and then we'll collage jam from the Gladstone. So,
and I believe I will be trying to do the filming of the live stream tour.
You're up to it.
And fingers crossed. I was that it all works out, but it is really exciting what they've done at the Gladstone. And Lee is such a charming, articulate tour guide for that. And man, she should have a lot to say about it because she's the curator, and the amount of art they have permanently installed in the hotel is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Fantastic.
The tour, unless there are some empty hotel rooms, won't include many of those, but there's lots of art in the public.
Oh, the public spaces, there's so many.
All the rooms have a different artwork by different artists, which is amazing.
It's great.
Yeah. So Val says the book looks great. She says she wished she could be there next week, but we'll be watching online. And
excellent.
That's great. Yeah, exactly.
We're delighted that you can come to the live stream at least. But it is sort of fun. We actually didn't think we were going to do any in-person events until next year, but this seemed to be a unique opportunity because of the fact that the Gladstone just opened not that many weeks ago officially.
No, and they are planning to have courses and workshops at their studio space in the future. But I had mentioned I had asked whether there was a possibility we could do the collage jam, and Lee said that'd be a great way to sort of like try get it up and running. Get it up and running,
and we're doing it in partnership with the Gladstone. So, that's sort of a unique opportunity. They haven't booked up the studio yet or anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's a real treat. So anyway, I hope you have a terrific week, and I'll see some of you next week. Not all of you, but
and then your virtual studio party will be back in 2 weeks' time.
That's right. That's right. So 2 weeks from today, same bat channel, same bat time, and because it will be December at that point, I may be working into this book. But paper crafting is a thing that tends to
rear its head.
Yeah. And, when I say paper crafting, that doesn't have to be
cheesy.
A lesser art. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be cheesy. It doesn't have to be a lesser art form. I love paper crafting. So Christmas time is my traditional time for doing some. anyway, I may do a bit of this and then some paper crafting. So
Cool. Looking forward to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So see you next week, or hear you next week, or read your messages next week, or whatever, at Cal's Virtual Collage Jam on his YouTube channel or at the Gladstone. Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
See you next week, or online, or the next time our craws pass. I think it's time
Dyslexic much?
Yeah, not at all.
Okay.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.